sorry, that's for a Democrat show.
Let me know when you're ready.
No matter what the technical difficulty is, this man is a professional. He goes all the way.
What you represent to them is freedom.
Was an extremely great conservative commentator. We're tearing it up on Wednesday night. This is awesome. This
will allow me to retort.
Well, this is Jersey Joe for the Reaver of Common Sense show. 8 p.m. on shrmedia.com.
Actually, I just totally screwed up. This show contains language that some viewers may find offensive. Listener discretion is advised. And now on to the show. And welcome to the Reaver of Common Sense show. I am your host, Jersey Joe, and I'm making sense out of the senseless. The Jersey Takeover is here. We have expanded to 2 hours every Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Remember to join the live chat. Go to shrmedia.com. Just click on the chat room button. Join the conversation. If you want to watch a broadcast, no problem. We got that covered. Just go to Reaver.one. That is REAVER.ONE. And don't forget to hit the subscribe button. And then while you're there on Reaver.one, don't forget to pick up a jersey. Excuse me, not a jersey. Unfortunately, I don't have the jerseys available anymore. Go to Reaver.one/shop. And we have many items to choose from. All the money goes back into the show to make the show even better. Better equipment, more outlets. The money goes back to making this show even better. That's my wife. She'll be home tomorrow night, and I can't wait. Her parents are on her backside, nagging, as parents do. And to make the joke, hi, Jenna. Happy you could be here today. And to make it worse, and it's the joke, my in-laws are of the Jewish faith. And there's always the joke of the nagging, the Jewish mother nagging. And she fits that perfectly. And I'm not saying it's a total negative thing. It has its good points, but it can also sometimes get on people's nerves. So, I feel sorry for my wife. She usually has me to run interference on some of this stuff because I have no problem speaking up. I mean, not angrily or anything like that. I will talk. I'll go right back. I'll go back at my parents. I love my parents. I respect them, but I am an adult, and if you treat me any other way, I will go back at you. And yes, me and my parents have gotten into it a couple times because they still want to treat me like a kid, as parents do. And, it's, I don't know. She's in a bad way, and I hate her going up by herself, but it had to be done. Hang on. I tell her she ought to just sit there and say, listen, I came up to visit you guys. I came up here to bring our daughter so you can have time. I didn't come up here to be nagged on nonstop. So if you want to have me here, and I'm glad to be here, just stop the nagging. And just leave it at that. I think that's a pretty neutral way of handling it, but my wife, you can never tell her what to do. She is stubborn from the word go. I love her to death, but she's so stubborn. See, I'll admit I can be stubborn, and I know that, and I will admit that. But she's so stubborn, she can't even admit that she's stubborn. That's how stubborn she is. It's a quagmire within a quagmire within a quagmire. So, I don't know. It's just, I'm still in a haze from yesterday. Still shocked at that news, but, we'll get on to different things. I think that might have been a blessing for Trump. That just gave him gold. And we'll go through it in a little bit. I can't, people, just giggity goo. Go to reaver.one/shop. That's REAVER.ONE/shop. SHOP. Check out the shirts. I'm pretty sure you'll find one that you'll love. They're top quality. I don't deal with cheap T-shirts to save money. That's not my style. I won't do anything that I wouldn't want to buy myself. So, just go and take a look. And even if you have a comment, just get a hold of me. Leave me a comment. I don't mind. I'm actually working with a friend of mine who's, we've been talking about the show a lot lately, and I talked briefly yesterday upon it. And he keeps going, listen, I'm not trying to be negative. And it's like, no, I don't mind that. So many people tell me, oh, the show's fine, Well, yeah, it's fine, but it can be better. And I need to know where my negatives are to make it better. And that's something I learned in EMS. You need to know where your weak points are to get better. If you know your strong points, you can improve a little bit. But if you're already doing good in those areas, it's hard to improve. You need to improve on where you're not good. Case in point, I was good at trauma calls. Trauma calls were second nature to me. Now, the medical took some time to learn. Now, I know a couple people that were reversed. The medical calls, and what I mean by medical is your cardiac, your respiratory, your different types of diseases. The list goes on and on and on. But those are medical. The trauma is broken bones, car accidents, falling off a house. That's trauma. Getting shot, trauma. That's all trauma. Those I was real good at. So I had to know where my weakness was, which was the medical, to improve to become a better all-around EMT. And that's the way I'm trying to go about it with this. And one of the things that he pointed out, and I appreciate him pointing it out. So if you're listening, bud, I love the criticism. I love it. The screaming that I do every now and then, and I've often wondered about it because I know it's spiking up, getting real loud in your ear. And if you're trying to listen at work, you can't do that. So it's not that I'm trying to change who I am. I'm always going to be me. But I do have to be a little bit more respectful to people and where they might be listening to the show at. So for those that listen to me and love me the way I am, I'm not going to change, but I'm going to try to some new tactics. How about that? And I have no issue with it. I got to improve, and that's one of the main things I want to do. I always want to become better than what I am. And by that, I need to learn and grow. But yesterday was one of those days, I knew it was coming. I knew she was going to get off. But I didn't expect to have the FBI director up there laying out a case. He basically laid out a case of why she should be indicted. And that's where it really got me. Sorry. And I actually had a little bit of faith restored yesterday after the show. Even after the show, I'm still doing stuff, prepping for the next day, doing the social media. I hate doing social media. I wish I could find someone that was good at doing the social media part. and that would do it for me. If they were looking to break in the business, or someone just wanted to do it part-time for fun, I would love to have somebody do that, because basically I stink at doing the social media part, doing the Twitter and all this and that. That's never been part of me. I didn't grow up with that. So I'm hoping to try to find someone that's good at that and work out a deal, especially if it's someone that's trying to break in and that's what they want to do for a living. And I know there's all different types of titles, but as a social media person, you get a hold of me. It's JerseyJoe@Reaver.1. We'll talk. I'm an easy person to get along with. I really am. For all the yelling I do and cussing, I'm actually a very easygoing person. I don't care who you are. As long as you treat me with respect, I can get along with you. So, now let's get on the show. Yesterday, I didn't get on any of my topics, and I actually felt good doing what I did yesterday. Just can't be doing that every day. Well, I could, but got to have the topics that I'm linked to, that I feel emotional about, and I just can't, fake it for something that I don't. Oh, I can't base it on something that I'm not emotional about. You know what, Jenna, the big old Jersey bear? I was bouncing at a bar, and one of the guys always stayed away from me, and after, a couple months, he would start talking to me, and afterwards, we became kind of friends, and he turns around, and he goes, I was scared, the daylight's out because of you. He goes, but now I got to know you, you're a big teddy bear. He goes, I still won't want to, make you mad, but you're a big teddy bear when you get to know you. I was like, yeah, that's... As long as you don't disrespect me and treat me badly, I'll do whatever I can to help anybody out. I try to do everything I can. So, yeah, I've been referred to being a teddy bear very often. I'm big. I'm cuddly. I don't shed, so that's a good thing. Now, Paul Ryan, he's really irking the living daylights out of me lately. On Tuesday, on WTMJ's Midday with Charlie Sykes, while discussing a controversial tweet with presumptive Republican presidential nominee Donald Trump, featuring an image of Hillary, money, and a six-pointed star likened to the Star of David, Speaker of the House Paul Ryan said anti-Semitic images, they've got no place in a presidential campaign. Well, I'm going to stop right there on the article and just stop right there. All right, the left immediately started calling Trump anti-Semitic and all that. Look at that. He's using the Star of David. And, well, actually, it's a six-pointed star. And I see where their minds automatically go. Now, everybody probably says, yeah, that Star of David. Well, a six-pointed star is used for a lot of things. And one of the things that it's also used for very commonly, it is the badge for sheriff officers. Specifically, sheriff officers use that. I'm not saying that other law enforcement doesn't, but I know a lot of sheriff offices that use the Star of David. Well, not even the six-pointed star as their badge. So everybody just assumed that it was an anti-Semitic image, that it was the Star of David for the Jewish, because that's what they wanted to see. And in some ways, he's pointing out people's racism because that's where their mind immediately goes to. It's that Freudian type slip. They're making all these comments and actually revealing their true inner self. And for Paul Ryan has really, I've lost all respect for him. I was backing him for Speaker of the House. I thought he was different than the other politicians. I thought he would make a good Speaker of the House. And now that we're getting to know him, I can't tell the difference between him and Nancy Pelosi, besides physical appearance and what's between and what not between their legs. He is a Democrat hiding as a conservative. He has bowed down for Obama. Even though he said he was going to fight for the people and fight against Obama, he's given Obama everything he wants. The budgets, the financing for the illegal immigrants, the Syrian refugees he's given money for. He has said he will not back a plan that would stop importation immigrants from the Middle East. He does not back any deportation of illegal aliens. He has no problem with them being here. He's for open borders. He's now bowing down to the Democrats and giving them a vote for the gun control measure. And I had a nice conversation with a friend of mine last night. And I know I'm going to catch some flack because it's all or nothing. And let me explain everything. As I may not agree that people should deserve to, in the streets, be carrying machine guns. And I'm talking actual full autos. And that's already, it's next to impossible for someone to own one of them. But I will not concede and say we should ban everybody from owning them because of the simple fact that when it comes to the Second Amendment and arguments with the anti-gunners, if you give them 1 inch, they're going to try to take 1 mile. And that's what they've done for years. And you can see it going on now, or really, it's really out there because look at the argument and what they're using. They talk about these loopholes. The loopholes of a 3-day wait. The loopholes of personal transfers. Loopholes, loopholes, loopholes. Now, I wasn't big into politics, but I do remember these arguments happening in the late 80s. And when it comes to the waiting period, there was, the pro-guns didn't want any wait period. The anti-gunners, they wanted 7 days or something crazy like that. So they came to a compromise and worked out at 3 days. But now they want to take it further. So now the liberals start going, it's a loophole, giving it a negative connotation instead of it was a compromise that they agreed to. Because they don't want people to know that they agreed to this because then they won't be able to complain about it. And it just really makes me laugh that you have so many people in the Democrat Party that are complaining about guns and want to do away with due process and all that. And yes, the no-fly, no-buy does that. Does away with due process. It does away with burden of proof on the government. It allows the government to come up with secret lists. And it's never been good in the history of the world when a government is allowed to create secret lists and pretty much all the rules go out the window. And Ryan has been bending over for all this. And and I'm sorry for putting it that way, but he really is. He's Senate to vote on sanctuary city bills inspired by the death of Kate Steinle. I know I'm messing up her last name, and I apologize. And you never see where the Democrats will try to work with the Republicans. They always say they do, and anytime you try to, and Obama, Harry Reid, Nancy Pelosi, Biden, all the top Democrats have always said, we want to compromise, but it's our way or the highway. Well, that's a direct violation of what a compromise is. We have so-called Republicans that have sold their soul to the global elitists. And I can't think of any way better to put it, but global elitists. And it's Republican and Democrat alike. So it's no surprising Ryan's, jumping on this bandwagon. As he said, he supports Trump, he's endorsing Trump, but when he says stuff that he doesn't agree with, he's going to call him on it. No, you're acting like a liberal, Paul Ryan. And when you're jumping on this anti-Semitic image, well, you're jumping on the liberal bandwagon. Because when I saw it, I immediately thought law enforcement, specifically sheriff's badges. Old West badge. I know Trump deleted it, but you got to remember, this guy is a mastermind. And yes, I'm using that term to describe Trump. Because what is he getting now with that image, that negative image of Hillary Clinton that he did? He hasn't paid a dime, and it has been all over the news. MSNBC, CNN, Fox, HLN, One American, I think it is. It's been all over. So he's getting all this free press by creating a little controversy, and they run with it and give him all this free press. And you would think they would learn. That's what he did in the primaries. He would say something that was, he knew that they would run with as being controversial. They would run with it and plaster it all over the news for him and do his work for him. He has spent very little money compared to the other primary runs of candidates. And I mean, Jeb Bush spent over $100 million. And what did that get him? Hillary Clinton, I mean, she's been spending money like it's water. And she had a battle and a half against Bernie Sanders, which is somebody should have been able to put away very easily. But Paul Ryan does try to save himself within these comments, and he talks the tweet's been deleted. I don't know what flunky put that up there. They obviously have to fix that. We've got to get back to the issues that matter to the public. And Trump's been doing that. And I get tired of, I haven't heard of any of his policies. He hasn't put up his policy. He has no policy. You haven't heard it because you're not listening for it. And very easily, all you have to do is go to his website and you can find out his policies and what he talk about. Is it perfectly in depth yet? No. Does he have everybody around him, the experts that need to be there to make those plans yet? No. Should you have those people yet? No. You go in as a president with ideas that this is what you want to do and this is the direction. And as you get closer and closer, you start expanding those ideas and adding the people to do it. But those really in-depth plans you don't really have. I mean, who read Obamacare when Obama was running for office? Nobody even read it or could have read it when we voted on it because it had not been written totally yet. Obama had an idea and said, this is where we're going to go with it. And he sold the idea, and he did not have an in-depth plan because he needed to get the people together, which once you're elected president, then you start getting the experts together, and you go forth. And I know it's bad to bring up about Obama, but presidents, they make these... they state these ideas, and they really don't have in-depth plans until after they get elected. And I heard it back in the primary. Why doesn't he have all this? Well, none of the other candidates had really any idea of what they were basing their campaign on. And you don't hire all the experts to go real in-depth because that's going to cost millions of dollars for that. And if you don't even make it out of the primary, you wasted a lot of money. So as the step goes along, you start spending more money on getting the ideas fully developed. So if you haven't heard his ideas, you haven't gone and heard them, you haven't checked him out, you haven't read up on him, because it's out there. I've read it, and I'm not going to be a babysitter and constantly give information to everybody. That's part of the jobs of Americans is to go and look. Not just what mainstream media tells you, not what I even tell you. And I've said it before, and I'll say it again. I want everybody to go and look at the information I put forth. Don't trust me wholeheartedly. I make mistakes. Point in case, I was talking to a gentleman on Twitter, and far as I knew, the Libertarian Party was not a nationally recognized party yet, and they weren't on all 50 states. So there was a discussion, and someone said, well, why do people think he can't get elected? And I said, well, as far as I know, he's only on 30 state ballots. He's not on all of them. The gentleman came back and said, no, he is. So I went and researched, and I came back and I told the guy, listen, I'm sorry, I made a mistake. Last time I looked, it was not in all 50 states, but it looks like now he will be all 50 states. Because I'm human, just as everybody else. We make mistakes. Information changes over time. And it's hard keeping up with every single matter that's going on out there. It's hard to keep up to date with everything. So yes, I make mistakes. Sometimes I'm wrong on my information. I try my best to be right, but I can't be right all the time. With that, it's time for those evil breaks. You're listening to the Reaver of Common Sense right here on SHR Media, High Plains Pundit Radio, ICRN Network, Red Nation Rising Radio, and iTunes. We will be right back after these messages. Oh, we can't forget YouTube.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Now, Brownells, we know you may have only one shot to harvest that trophy, so we have thousands of accessories and replacement parts to improve your chances. We know how much you love to shoot, so our Gunsmiths articles and videos will help you do more and get more out of your guns. We also value your hard work and money. That's why only Brownells backs up everything we sell with a 100% unconditional lifetime guarantee. Brownells, the world's largest supplier of firearm accessories and gunsmithing tools.
My name is Chris Peranto, call sign Tonto. I was with the Global Response Staff. We were the security element for the Central Intelligence Agency in Benghazi, Libya on 9/11/2012. Myself and my team responded to an attack that killed Ambassador Chris Stevens, Sean Smith, and two of my teammates, Tyrone Woods and Glenn Doherty. Radical Islam is basically terrorism in a nutshell. It wants to not only put down Western values, it wants to kill anybody that supports those Western values, which is freedom, which is Christianity, and which is also anything that looks poorly on Sharia law. We've allowed it again to grow into something that it shouldn't be, and it's becoming stronger and stronger every day that we don't lead from the front. Obama and Hillary, by avoiding the phrase radical Islam, they're being politically correct. They don't see it for what it is, and that's straight up destroying the Western world. Radical Islam doesn't have a fear. They will give up their lives. They will detonate themselves. They will do anything they can to fulfill Sharia law and kill the infidels. If we're not able to even say radical Islam, the word radical Islam, there's no way we can fight it. There's no way we can defeat it. The United States of America doesn't lead from behind. We are always setting the example. If not, we're going to see terrorism get bigger and bigger, and eventually it's just going to be continual lone wolf attacks in the United States. And I don't want that to happen to my kids. I don't want to see my family go through that. Please join me in waking up Washington in this fight on radical Islam, seeing the threat that it really is. Sign up at leadingfromthefront.org.
Breaking news. According to the latest report coming out of SHR Media, a merchandise store to support both the Reaver of Common Sense and SHR Media has just been unleashed to the general public. Be forewarned that this site can be contagious and numerous items can be purchased to support the best news programming. Go to Reaver.one website and click on the store link to check out the merchandise.
You have been to Reaver of Common Sense, hosted by my dad, Jersey Joe. Beware, the Jersey Takeover is here. Every Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can catch the Reaver of Common Sense show, hosted by Jersey Joe, right here on shrmedia.com and highplainsdailynews.com. Only Jersey can deliver hell like no one else, so consider this your fair warning.
In a world controlled by corrupt politicians,
You got a business. You didn't build that.
a team of ordinary men emerge from the ashes to give voice to the voiceless and hope to the hopeless. Sackhead Sean.
Dude, I'm not saying cop for the stupid promo.
Sackhead Clint.
All good friends of ours usually show up drunk.
Also starring Sacco as the producer.
I'm a little bit drunk, 'cause I'm drinking.
They are the Sackheads Radio Show. Every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Pacific on shrmedia.com.
Every Wednesday night, 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, you can catch the Southside Mutt Show with its hosts, the Jersey Boys, Jersey Joe and Crash, right here on SHR Media and High Plains Pundit Radio, where we will be digging up the dirt.
Times are dark. The people misled by corrupt politicians, lied to by establishment media, and deceived by the false messages of Islam. A nation in confusion needs a guide. It needs a man with a cane. I'm Dave Milner. Join me on Spreaker, SHR Media, High Plains Talk Radio, Live Rebooting Liberty, and YouTube for a unique brand of commentary on the unpleasant blind guide. Because truth is not always pleasant.
If you miss a show, don't worry. You can catch the replays two ways, rebootingliberty.com or the reaverofcommonsense.com. While you're there on Reaver of Common Sense, don't forget, drop in your email and keep up to date on everything going on, or click the like button on the Facebook widget. Now on to the Reaver of Common Sense.
Listening to the SHR Media Network.
This show contains language that some viewers may find offensive. Listener discretion is advised. And now on to the show. And welcome back to the Reaver of Common Sense. I am your host, Jersey Joe, and I'm making sense out of the senseless. The Jersey Takeover is here. We have expanded to 2 hours every Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Remember to join the live chat. Go to shrmedia.com. Just click on the chat room button. Join the conversation. If you want to watch a broadcast, hey, I love that. And we got you covered. Go to Reaver.one. That is REAVER.ONE. Click on the live stream. And don't forget to hit subscribe once you start watching it. And the most important, the Reaver shop is now open. The Reaver store is open for business. If you go to Reaver.one/shop, take you right to the store with hoodies, stickers, brain farts, t-shirts. We have a lot of items to choose from. And the one thing I want to talk about briefly before we get back into the news, because it's something that I've been discussing with some people the name of the show. It's called Reaver of Common Sense. A lot of people don't understand they think they know where it comes from, and they immediately go to sci-fi of the show Firefly, which was also a movie, Serenity, and also to games. Games love to use the name Reaver. Reaver is actually old myth. It was used Old English, Greek mythology. It was used a lot in different mythologies, and Reavers were the bringer of deaths. They were death. So the show is the Reaver of Common Sense, the death of common sense. And maybe I should explain it more often so every new listeners understand that. But I wanted to give a little think piece on the name. Something that people would have to really understand and really make them think to say, you know what? Common sense has gone by everybody nowadays. And we need to bring that back. The book smarts are a great thing. But I hate to tell you, common sense is just as much needed. Because we got a lot of politicians and a lot of people that we call liberals that don't have common sense. And that's scary. And when I named the show, I didn't even click that I was also playing on the pamphlet that helped really really get the Revolutionary War going was Thomas Paine, and I've quoted him very often on this show. I haven't done it lately. I've kind of gotten away from quoting our forefathers, which I really shouldn't. I need to get back to that. But Thomas Paine wrote a pamphlet that is, they say, the justification, the soul behind the revolution. Everybody read it, and when they got done reading it, they were ready to fight the English, the British, and they were ready to take over and become our own country. And that pamphlet was called Common Sense. And I didn't even realize I did that, and it's just I love history, and that's the one thing I miss living up in New Jersey, where I was from. Yes, Trenton can be not a very nice place to be, especially at night. But there's a lot of history there, and I'm pretty sure you guys understand your history of the Revolutionary War and how important Trenton was. And I was talking to my buddy last night about the show and logos and all that, and I was, for some reason, started thinking of Bowman's Tower. It's this tower that the colonists used to spy on Trenton and the area before they went and crossed the Delaware. So it has a very significance to that area. It's on the Pennsylvania side. And my family, my relatives, had a lot of property around there throughout the time. And over time, they started selling the property and all that. But my relatives were very heavily around that area. And I was also told by one of my relatives, I have not confirmed it, but it's supposed to be, we have American Indian, and this is like my great-great-grandmother, I think it was, or great-grandmother I met once and was talking. She said, we do have American Indian. It's the local tribe, which I think was Lenalepin, I want to say. I can't. But either way, and that's the tribe that was around Bowman's Tower. And so Bowman's Tower got a lot of connections to my family history and all that. And where we lived in Lawrence, which is the town, you got Trenton, Lawrence, then Princeton. And if you know your Revolutionary history, you know that Washington crossed the Delaware and he attacked Trenton and the Hessian troops there. Well, once he took care of that, he started marching to Monmouth. And he had to go to Princeton first. And where I lived in Lawrence, the road I lived on, which was Route 206 Lawrence Road, there's a little creek. And there's a plaque. The bridge is fading away. The plaque's barely there anymore. But it's marking the trail that Washington and his troops made. And they went right in front of my house. That's where they marched. So there's a lot of history that I'm used to with that. And I was trying to come up with ideas for a new logo. And something with the Bowman's Tower really stuck out on me. So I'm trying to come up with a logo that will incorporate Bowman's Tower because it has a lot of connections to my family and a history of this country. Like I said, that's the one thing that I don't like living down here in Florida. There is history down here, but where I lived, you couldn't throw a stone without hitting something that had to deal with the Revolutionary War. And I could have brought my daughter to all that stuff because I remember my dad doing that for me as a child. My dad believed in if you want to learn about history, you actually go to the places. It will stick in your mind. You'll understand more of it than just reading in a book. I can go on, but we're going to get back on track, and I do apologize going off a little tangent there. But I always like to try to tell everybody what's going on with the show and just be upfront. So there might be some changes coming along. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. I'm going to play it by ear. But as long as people keep listening, I will keep doing this. So in the long run, thank you very much. It's an honor that you guys have me. And I say it every day at the end of the show, and I truly mean it. But, all right, everything seems concocted to protect Hillary. Seems like a weird headline. What really caught me was on Tuesday, an MSNBC's Morning Joe host Mika, I'm not even going to try that last name, discussed the latest development in the FBI's investigation into presumptive Democrat presidential nominee Hillary Clinton's use of private email server while Secretary of State. Mika noted, hang on, let me see something. I just downloaded a new program to my phone. I want to see if it actually works. God bless you. All right, it's... Hang on, let me see how this goes. Oh, autocorrect. I don't want you autocorrecting on me. All right, let's see how it does. Mika Brzezinski. God bless you. Brzezinski, hang on. Mika Brzezinski. Noted in an interview Clinton conducted with NBC over the weekend, which they only allowed her to be interviewed for 5 minutes. That gave off an appearance that everything was very concocted to protect Clinton. There we go. That is like everything here, Brzezinski said. Everything seems very concocted to protect her, and the boy would I like her to be doing well right now, but Mark Halperin, tell me what you see in this. Are they trying to move this along? Are they trying to get this over with? Are they trying to even coordinate it and control it? Even everything, we know Clinton is meeting with Loretta Lynch in private, or all of a sudden meeting with the FBI on a Saturday morning, 4th of July weekend, for 3.5 hours. Did they ask for it? Are they trying to move it along? What do we know? And how are we supposed to assume everything is above board here? And this is bad because you have MSNBC asking these questions and even admitting that something's not right. And it's, as I said, it on social media, I saw a bunch, and I mean a bunch, of liberals that just were not happy at all that the current state of what's going on, and they even feel that there's separate rules, and they don't like it. And some of these people were Hillary supporters. They said they backed out. And people that weren't backing Trump are now backing Trump because they said, no, this has really pushed me behind him, because this shows that Hillary is getting preferential treatment by the government, that she's not being held to the same standard. And even MSNBC's questioning all this. And that is bad when MSNBC starts questioning. We don't know some basic things that we often know about an investigation at this stage. And I think this was done before the announcement was made. For one thing, is she's subject to recall. A lot of times with high-profile witnesses like this, David Kendall, Hillary Clinton's lawyer, may have negotiated to say you get one crack at her, one time to sit with her, and take as long as you want, but that's it. We don't know whether she's coming back or not. We also don't know if prosecutors really looking for a crime here or run influences and say we investigate it and there's no crime at all. But we all know that's to the contrary, because FBI director, James Comey, he actually laid out a case for prosecution of Hillary. He admitted that she broke the law, but said there was no intent. That's not how the law is written on that. The law is written on gross negligence. You could be grossly negligent and not intend to do it. You know, Dean made a good comment last night. Not Dean, Crash, sorry. I was talking to another buddy and popped in my head. And he pointed out that, you know, you got two different levels of murder. But with two of them. One is you have intent to do it, and one is unintentional. So when you talk about laws, they will say intent or negligent. And when they're talking about the laws of these emails, you have, 18 U.S.C. United States Code 793 subsection F. Now, there's also another section of a law, which I don't have on me, that Petraeus actually got hit on, which is a lower, I think it's a misdemeanor at that point. So she actually could be indicted on lower charges, but they're not doing that. She's being treated with kid gloves, or they think they were doing kid gloves with her and help protecting her. But what they've actually done is they've ticked off a lot of people. And a lot of people aren't happy right now. They're not happy because they see that there's two different laws for everybody. And I know everybody's talked about it for decades now, but it was never really, really out there as much as it is right now. It's in everybody's face that she is getting away. She got away with irresponsibly not giving any security. She was responsible for not sending any backup support to Benghazi. And they keep saying, well, we're going to move along. And she says, it's done, we're moving along. You don't get to say when moving along. And what that says is when you do that, because she's saying it with the email now, it's done, it's over with, we're moving along. No, you don't get to decide that, Hillary. And the only people that I usually hear saying that are the ones that are guilty. And don't tell me, well, she said she didn't do it, so she didn't do it. Well, you know what? There's a lot of people in jail that say they didn't do it, but they're still in jail, and I don't see you backing them up. Just because she says it's time to move on doesn't mean it's time to move on. She wants to move on because it's hurting her. She wants to forget it's happening because it's hurting her. It's showing the true Hillary Clinton. And I question this whole timing of Comey coming out yesterday. And then, just a couple days after, Bill Clinton privately meets with Loretta Lynch, Attorney General, Director Comey's boss. But she meets Bill Clinton privately on a plane for 30 minutes with nobody around. And you're going to tell me now all of a sudden they come out and they admit that she broke laws, but because she didn't intend to. Well, people are now looking at her going, wait a minute, time out. Okay, if you're saying you're not going to indict her because her intentions weren't there, but that she willfully and knowingly put national security at risk, which they admitted she did, how are we to trust her as president with even more security if she can't keep that? And we wouldn't give that responsibility for a teenager who show that they can't show that they're responsible on a lower level and then say, guess what, we're going to give you more responsibility. Don't drink the Kool-Aid before you know the flavor. I got lemon water, and I make it myself. It's really a sad day. But it may have been enough of a jolt that it woke up those sleeping giants, those sleeping few that were still buying into the BS. I'll tell you what, Jen, I went from drinking, I've been switched over to this water with lemon juice in it about 5-6 months ago. Up until then, for basically my whole adult life, all I've drinking is either iced tea, ginger ale, or Sprite. So because after I quit smoking, I gained 50, 60 pounds. And I haven't been able to pull it off like I used to be able to pull weight off when I was smoking. So I cut out any of the iced teas, any of the sodas. I'll have a ginger ale every now and then still. It's still soda, but ginger ale out of any of them is a little bit better than the rest. Well, our country is at a very bad crossroads. It's not a happy place right now. And with that, it is time for a commercial break. And you're listening to the Reaver of Common Sense, hosted by myself, Jersey Joe, right here on SHR Media, High Plains Pundit Radio, ICRN, Red Nation Rising, YouTube, and iTunes. We will be right back.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Now, Brownells, we know you may have only one shot to harvest that trophy, so we have thousands of accessories and replacement parts to improve your chances. We know how much you love to shoot, so our gunsmiths articles and videos will help you do more and get more out of your guns. We also value your hard work and money. That's why only Brownells backs up everything we sell with a 100% unconditional lifetime guarantee. Brownells, the world's largest supplier of firearm accessories and gunsmithing tools.
My name is Chris Peranto, call sign Tonto. I was with the Global Response Staff. We were the security element for the Central Intelligence Agency in Benghazi, Libya on 9/11/2012. Myself and my team responded to an attack that killed Ambassador Chris Stevens, Sean Smith, and two of my teammates, Tyrone Woods and Glenn Doherty. Radical Islam is basically terrorism in a nutshell. It wants to not only put down Western values, it wants to kill anybody that supports those Western values, which is freedom, which is Christianity, and which is also anything that looks poorly on Sharia law. We've allowed it again to grow into something that it shouldn't be, and it's becoming stronger and stronger every day that we don't lead from the front. Obama and Hillary, by avoiding the phrase radical Islam, they're being politically correct. They don't see it for what it is, and that's straight up destroying the Western world. Radical Islam doesn't have a fear. They will give up their lives. They will detonate themselves. They will do anything they can to fulfill Sharia law and kill the infidels. If we're not able to even say radical Islam, the word radical Islam, there's no way we can fight it. There's no way we can defeat it. The United States of America doesn't lead from behind. We are always setting the example. If not, we're going to see terrorism get bigger and bigger, and eventually it's just going to be continual lone wolf attacks in the United States. And I don't want that to happen to my kids. I don't want to see my family go through that. Please join me in waking up Washington in this fight on radical Islam, seeing the threat that it really is. Sign up at leadingfromthefront.org.
Breaking news. According to the latest report coming out of SHR Media, a merchandise store to support both the Reaver of Common Sense and SHR Media has just been unleashed to the general public. Be forewarned that this site can be contagious and numerous items can be purchased to support the best news programming. Go to Reaver.one website and click on the store link to check out the merchandise.
Listening to Reaver of Common Sense, hosted by my dad, Jersey Joe. Beware, the Jersey Takeover is here. Every Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can catch the Reaver of Common Sense show, hosted by Jersey Joe, right here on shrmedia.com and highplainsdailynews.com. Only Jersey can deliver hell like no one else, so consider this your fair warning.
In a world controlled by corrupt politicians,
You got a business. You didn't build that.
a team of ordinary men emerge from the ashes to give voice to the voiceless and hope to the hopeless. Sackhead Sean.
Dude, I'm not saying cow for the stupid pro.
Sackhead Clint.
All good friends of ours usually show up drunk.
Also starring Sacco as the producer.
I'm a little bit drunk, I'm a little bit drunk, 'cause I'm drinking.
They are the Sackheads Radio Show. Every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Pacific on shrmedia.com.
Every Wednesday night, 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, you can catch the Southside Mutt Show with its hosts, the Jersey Boys, Jersey Joe and Crash, right here on SHR Media and High Plains Pundit Radio, where we will be digging up the dirt.
Times are dark. The people misled by corrupt politicians, lied to by establishment media, and deceived by the false messages of Islam. A nation in confusion needs a guide. It needs a man with a cane. I'm Dave Milner. Join me on Spreaker, SHR Media, High Plains Talk Radio, Live Rebooting Liberty, and YouTube for a unique brand of commentary on the Unpleasant Blind Guide. Because truth is not always pleasant.
If you miss a show, don't worry. You can catch the replays two ways, rebootingliberty.com or the Reaver of Common Sense.com. While you're there on Reaver of Common Sense, don't forget, drop in your email and keep up to date on everything going on, or click the like button on the Facebook widget. Now on to the Reaver of Common Sense.
Listening to the SHR Media Network.
This show contains language that some viewers may find offensive. Listener discretion is advised. And now on to the show. And welcome back to the Reaver of Common Sense show. I am your host, Jersey Joe, and I am making sense out of the senseless. The Jersey Takeover is here, and we have expanded to 2 hours every Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Remember to join the live chat. Go to shrmedia.com. Just click on the chat room button. Join the conversation. If you want to watch a broadcast, go to reaver.one. That is REAVER.ONE. And click on the live stream. Don't forget, as my daughter tells me, Dad, remind them to hit the subscribe button and leave a comment. And it's bad when I'm getting marketing advice from my 12-year-old daughter. That's bad. Well, good for her. It's showing her brains. Bad for me that I don't even think of this stuff. And while you're there, just go to reaver.one/shop. Or just click on the shop button, header, menu. And it'll bring down a drop down if you want T-shirts, coffee mugs, stickers, hoodies. Just pick what you need and go ahead and order them, and we'll get them out ASAP. All right. One of the things that was said in the chat room, and it's so true, Jenna said it, and we need a political earthquake to shake up the government to its foundation. And that is dead spot on, because we need a top-to-bottom house cleaning of politics in the United States. From the mayors, town councils, county councils, whatever your local government is called, all the way up to the president. We need a earthquake that will shake them to the foundations and get new blood in. Get in new blood that cares. And don't put up with this, well, they say they care about us. No. I can say I'm a monkey. Doesn't make me a monkey. I can say I'm a cat. Well, in today's day and age, I can say I identify, and they have to agree that I'm a cat at that point. But that's here or there. All right. Let's see, where are we at? FBI Director James Comey made 5 damning claims about Hillary's email, but decided not to indict. And these are the ones that have people a little scratching their head. And you know what, Jenna? Not just the veterans with deployment under the belt, that's great, and I would back them. But we need to also go back to just the common man. Not just military, the common man. Too many lawyers, and there's nothing wrong with being a lawyer, but nowadays it seems like they feel you have to be a lawyer for you to run for political office. You have to be a lawyer to be a senator. You know, this is not what this country is about. It wasn't about having these elitists, these high-educated, rich SOBs ruling the country. That's what we had with England. We had these highly educated, snobs. And that's what we don't need now. We have too many lawyers running the country, and they have a habit, and it's not intentional. I'm not trying to bash lawyers. I'm just pointing out they have a habit of making languages on laws and bills so complicated that nobody understands what's going on with them. And they kind of do it so that there's always wiggle room that they can interpret it a different way to get what they want. What we need is some basic language bills. This bill's about XYZ. This is what it'll do. This is what will happen if you break this. Done. Enough of this BS of, writing a bill that runs around in a circle and means nothing. And Jenna, you know what? Especially covering the VA issues, I want our VA to be better than, almost better than what citizens have. But we have a couple in there now, and they're not. John McCain is not doing diddly for the veterans. He has voted against the veterans' bills multiple times. He's sold out his fellow veterans. And there is others that ex-military that are in there, and for whatever reason, they're not doing what they should be for the VA issues. They'll go out in front of a TV and talk about it, but you never see any action from them. And McCain's a big one. Now, is there some in there now that's trying to fight and help the VA? Yes. So, it's... gotta look something up real quick. But I get your point, and I do agree with you. But we do have some of them in there, and it just... I don't know. And I had on a certain channel that was showing some heavy metal music going on, and the band that popped up was Gojira, and it's Gorgilla. And their band, and I thought it sounded familiar, so I looked it up real quick. It was a band that at one time they were called Godzilla, but because of copywriting, they couldn't use it anymore, I guess. And Gorgilla is very close, and actually how kind of the Chinese or Japanese, the Asians say it. You know what, Jenna? And I agree. My father refuses to use the VA. He has a very good health plan. Yes, he has to pay out of pocket on some stuff because of this new Obamacare BS. But he won't use the VA. He refuses. And you got to remember, he got out in, I think, 65. Anyway, in the middle of the 60s, he got out. He got out right before the Vietnam War really started to kick on. And he remembers all those stories of the VA and seeing what happened, so he refused to use it. Still to this day, he won't use it. He'd rather pay a little bit out of pocket than have anything happen. All right. Let's see, where are we at? Jumping all over the place today. So we were talking about the five claims that were made against Hillary Clinton. And the FBI Director James Comey made 5 extremely damning claims in his Tuesday press conference about Hillary Clinton's private email server. Though Comey found evidence of potential violations of classified information laws on Clinton's part, and though Comey noted that people who did similar things would be punished, Comey nevertheless told the American people that the FBI does not recommend an indictment against Clinton. Comey confirmed numerous details of the email scandal, including the fact that Clinton had information on her private server that was classified when sent. which was first reported back in August of 2015, nearly a year ago. But Comey said that no reasonable prosecutor would take on the case. Comey's harsh criticism of Clinton's conduct, paired with his inexplicably decision not to call for an indictment, suggested that Comey might have torn sympathies regarding the case. But the FBI director said the investigation was apolitical, despite Attorney General Loretta Lynch's recent secret meeting with Bill Clinton. Here are the worst things Comey said about Clinton. Evidence of violations. In this case, given the importance of the matter, I think usual transparency is in order. Although there is evidence of potential violations of the statute regarding the handling of classified information, our judgment is that no reasonable prosecutor would bring such a case. Comey was stated. Prosecutors necessarily weigh a number of factors before deciding whether to bring charges. There are obvious considerations like the strength of the evidence, especially regarding intent, which is not written in the law. And none of the laws does it say intent. So he's rewriting the laws as he goes along. Responsible decisions, and to also consider the context of a person's action and how similar situations have been handled in the past. And looking back at our investigation into the mishandling or removal of classified information, we cannot find a case that would support bringing criminal charges on these facts. Problem is, everybody else can find it. Everybody else can find cases that were similar to this where they were prosecuted. So I can go break federal laws as long as I break it in a new way and there's no previous cases that they can compare it to. And as long as I show I didn't intend to break the law, which I'm sorry, when she put in that private server, she intended to break the law. She intended to break all the rules that are set up for national security. She intended to break and hide that information. Right there's your intent by her taking that out of the government's hand and doing a private email server. That's the whole point of having these rules. And she circumvented the rules, showing intent. And even an idiot like myself can see where there's intent. An idiot like myself can see how she intended to break the law. Maybe I'm like it's been a joke that using facts and logic is not good on liberals because they don't understand it. And I've joked about it, but really, right now, and I know Comey's a registered Republican, but oh my God, it's not good, people. Comey confirmed the existence of vast amounts of information on her private server that was classified when sent. Comey also confirmed that Clinton did not hand over some of her emails, even though she signed a sworn affidavit that she had done so. Whether or not Clinton will be charged with perjury is still up to the Department of Justice. Of course, nothing's going to happen. You had Bill Clinton meeting privately with Loretta Lynch, and who appointed Loretta Lynch to position of, I think it was her first position as a judge, and that would be Bill Clinton. It is absolutely sickening on all the... There's so many appearances of bias in this case that it's appalling. That only the Clintons and these elite politicians are afforded those issues. Because if it was one of us, that wouldn't have been allowed. Of course, we wouldn't have even gone that far. FBI would have had us in handcuffs a year ago. It wouldn't have been drawn out like this. And I've had dealings with the FBI. Yes, I had. I worked for one time a armored car service. And I know this is going to sound very bad, but there is other circumstances that they've looked at since then. And our truck, we were going down the turnpike in New Jersey. We had just left our north office, and we were loading up. It was like a substation in the north, and we were bringing their cash down to the main office. We got on the turnpike, and a tractor and trailer flying up next to us, beeping the horn. It's snowing like, no tomorrow. And the truck driver's hanging out his window and pointing to the back of the armored car. So I look through the window to look in the back, and the door's open. So we immediately pull into the first place we can. There was a rest stop that was like maybe a half mile from where we were. I forget the exact distance. It's been years since this happened. Well, when we pulled in, we noticed the bag's missing. So we immediately contacted our dispatch. Everything was done. We were very close to the next exit, which had the state police, had a headquarters right there. And I can't remember if the police came to scene or we were told to drive down. Either way, we ended up going down to state police barracks. Some things were done. This was, by the time it was getting late. I think maybe 10 o'clock at night. We should have been getting ready to go home. And we go back to the main base, and we're told we can't leave. They're bringing in FBI talk. It's fine. We sat there for like 12 hours in the break room. Exhausted at that point. Tired. Stressed. We got told we had to head back up north to the state police barracks where everything started. And that's where the FBI was. And let me tell you, the FBI, they didn't care. As I was told by one of their agents, they do not care whether I was innocent or guilty. As long as they get to close the case as fast as they can and make it look good on them, they don't care if I went to prison. So I need to shut up and start talking. Which I had no problem talking. I was trying to be helpful. I was trying to tell them everything that I knew and could remember, down to every little detail. Now, when I started doing that, because the bag that was missing, I remember it, because it was one of the largest bags, it took both me and my partner to lift it and throw it into the truck, because it was heavy as hell. So, of course, that I remembered these details, they start trying to turn it on me, and that's when they said, they go, we don't care, we got an ounce of evidence, we can expand it and get you convicted and throw you in jail, and we don't care whether you're innocent or not. And that was the FBI telling me that. And I'm sitting there looking at them going, I'm trying to give you information to help you, and now you're trying to turn it on me. And they were like, we don't care. FBI did not afford me all these pleasantries that they gave Hillary. I wasn't talked to with respect. They messed with my head so bad, and I was kept up and interrogated. It wasn't even supposed to be interrogation. We were asked to go into, give information of what happened. And it turned into a interrogation. I was never offered a chance for a lawyer, because I was told they are not interrogating me. As I said, it went into an interrogation. And they didn't care that my constitutional rights were swept underneath the carpet. They messed with my head so bad. So I'll get to that in a minute. So basically what I did is I realized what was going on, because they're like, well, just admit it and we'll do things for your family. We'll have things done. We can get you a job as a firefighter. Yada, making me all these promises. Just admit that I know who did it and tell them who did it, and I wouldn't be convicted. They're trying everything, and I realized they were going to railroad me. So I was young. I didn't have lawyers. So I called my parents' house. My dad just got out of just came home for having major surgery from his shooting. I didn't even know he was home. He got out of the hospital early. I told them where I was at. They told me to shut my mouth and leave the room immediately. If they are not arresting me, I was to leave immediately. So I'd walk back to the room where they were held this interrogation without offering me a chance for a lawyer. And it was actually one FBI and one detective for the New Jersey State Police. So I walked back. They're like, so what's going on? I said, are you arresting me at this time? They said, no, this is just, we're getting information on the case. And I kind of looked down and was like, no, you're interrogating me. And they turned around and said, we don't care what you think. So, what did your lawyer have to say? I said, I didn't talk to my lawyer. And they kind of looked at me and they're like, oh, well, you're guilty as hell. Why didn't you call your lawyer? I said, I don't have a lawyer and I'm not guilty. Are you arresting me? Are you holding me? And they said, no, we have nothing to hold you at this time. I said, well, fine. This is done and over with. I am out of here. And I went down, and it was like 45 minutes. And I'm sitting there. And I hear these troopers going by me. They don't realize I'm there. I'm freaking the hell out. And they're like, oh, the guy broke. You know, he walked down and called a lawyer. He's guilty. And they're all of a sudden noticing I'm there. And I'm like, up yours. I didn't do anything. So finally my dad came in. It was kind of funny because the FBI agent comes out at that point to talk to my dad's. And he's like introducing himself. And he's like, well, I had to do my job. My dad looked at him and said, well, you know what you couldn't do? You couldn't find the guy that shot me, but you can now harass my son. And I'm sitting there going, it's snowing. And if they're having this argument, I'm going, it's snowing. My dad's going, no, it isn't. I can see it snowing. I could feel it snowing. And all of a sudden, everybody just looked at me, and the guy was like, uh-oh. They had pushed me so hard that I started to hallucinate that it was snowing. They messed with my head so bad. So I have no love lost for the FBI. Now, what really ticked me off is, it was like a week or two went by. I had a friend of mine drive me over to the armored car because I had gotten fired. Both of me and the other person got fired, which was fine by me. I didn't want nothing more to do with an armored car after that. It wasn't worth the $7 an hour I was being paid, which was minimum wage, to deal with all that. So, there's double gates. And yes, I've gone on a terrible tangent for no other reason to tell a story about my dealing with the FBI and how they do not care about innocence, but they afforded Hillary all this special amenities. So we pull in. I go get lit in, get buzzed in to go get my check. And I'm walking back out. And like I said, it's a double gate. Well, they start closing the first gate, and it stops, and I hear it. And I hear it opening back up. So I turn around. The owner's coming out, and he's got the FBI agent there. And they're like, can we talk to you? And by that time, I had already talked to an attorney. He said, listen, you don't need to hire me right now. If they want to talk to you again, you tell them to, quote, piss off and to call me. And that's what you are to tell them. I was like, cool, I could tell him. So he comes out and he's like, listen, we're asking you to help us. Would you take a lie detector test? And would you go through some hypnotherapy? Try to remember some information? And I just turned around and looked at it. I was like, I asked you the night it happened to give me a lie detector test. I was that adamant about my innocence. Well, we had to make sure. And I said, no, I wanted it, and you told me to go screw myself. So, no, I'm not going to do it now. You want me to be helpful. When I tried it the first time, you tried railroading me. Well, that's my job, and it was, well, this is my job now, to protect myself. And the owner's sitting there apologizing. He said they shouldn't. He knew. He said, I've watched the tape. You guys didn't. We had to fire you because of insurance. I feel bad. And I said, I'm not worried about that. I just don't need this harassment anymore. And he apologized for the way the FBI was treating us. But they don't care about you or me. They will railroad us in a heartbeat. And that's the moral of this whole story. They will railroad us in a heartbeat. But I also got to tell because he kept going, and I turned around and said, my lawyer, and yes, I've hired a lawyer because of your harassment, told me to tell you to, and I went into a nice explicit conversation, and if you want any more questions, here is his number, call him, don't ever talk to me again. And he looked at me, he was like, oh, sorry, we shouldn't have done that. I was like, I tried to be helpful, and that's all I was trying to do, and you tried railroading me. And as you said, you don't care about innocent or guilt as long as your record looks good. And the owner kind of whipped around and looked at me, and at that point was like, really? So I have no love lost for the FBI. I back my brothers within the blue. I have worked hand in hand with police officers through my career in EMS. But when it comes to FBI, I don't trust them. They're lying. They're conniving. They will screw over an American citizen as long as it looks good on their record. They don't care about justice. They care about advancing. And Comey just proved even more that he doesn't care about the American people. He doesn't care about American law. He only cares about whether he looks good in front of the president, whether he looks good in front of the Clinton. And that's what he's done. You're listening to the Reaver of Common Sense. Actually, I'm going to play something real quick and then go to the commercial. We'll go to, you're listening to the Reaver of Common Sense right here on SHR Media, High Plains Pundit Radio, ICRN Network Radio, Red Nation Rising Network Radio, and YouTube, and iTunes. I know it's kind of offhand the way I just did it, but I'm trying to remember it all from memory, and we will be right back.
This is Dave Milner, host of The Unpleasant Blind Guy. You're listening to conservative media done right on the SHR Media Network at shrmedia.com.
My apologies for that being up so loud. All right.
Listening to the SHR Media Network.
Now, Brownells, we know you may have only one shot to harvest that trophy, so we have thousands of accessories and replacement parts to improve your chances. We know how much you love to shoot, so our gunsmiths articles and videos will help you do more and get more out of your guns. And we also value your hard work and money. That's why only Brownells backs up everything we sell with a 100% unconditional lifetime guarantee. Brownells, the world's largest supplier of firearm accessories and gunsmithing tools.
My name is Chris Peranto, call sign Tonto. I was with the Global Response Staff. We were the security element for the Central Intelligence Agency in Benghazi, Libya on 9/11/2012. Myself and my team responded to an attack that killed Ambassador Chris Stevens, Sean Smith, and two of my teammates, Tyrone Woods and Glenn Doherty. Radical Islam is basically terrorism in a nutshell. It wants to not only put down Western values, it wants to kill anybody that supports those Western values, which is freedom, which is Christianity, and which is also anything that looks poorly on Sharia law. We've allowed it again to grow into something that it shouldn't be, and it's becoming stronger and stronger every day that we don't lead from the front. Obama and Hillary, by avoiding the phrase radical Islam, they're being politically correct. They don't see it for what it is, and that's straight up destroying the Western world. Radical Islam doesn't have a fear. They will give up their lives. They will detonate themselves. They will do anything they can to fulfill Sharia law and kill the infidels. If we're not able to even say radical Islam, the word radical Islam, there's no way we can fight it. There's no way we can defeat it. The United States of America doesn't lead from behind. We're always setting the example. If not, we're going to see terrorism get bigger and bigger, and eventually it's just going to be continual lone wolf attacks in the United States. And I don't want that to happen to my kids. I don't want to see my family go through that. Please join me in waking up Washington in this fight on radical Islam, seeing the threat that it really is. Sign up at leadingfromthefront.org.
Breaking news. According to the latest report coming out of SHR Media, a merchandise store to support both the Reaver of Common Sense and SHR Media has just been unleashed to the general public. Be forewarned that this site can be contagious and numerous items can be purchased to support the best news programming. Go to Reaver.one website and click on the store link to check out the merchandise.
Listening to Reaver of Common Sense, hosted by my dad, Jersey Joe. Beware, the Jersey Takeover is here. Every Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can catch the Reaver of Common Sense show, hosted by Jersey Joe, right here on shrmedia.com and highplainsdailynews.com. Only Jersey can deliver hell like no one else, so consider this your fair warning.
In a world controlled by corrupt politicians,
You got a business. You didn't build that.
a team of ordinary men emerge from the ashes to give voice to the voiceless and hope to the hopeless. Sackhead Sean.
Dude, I'm not saying cop for the stupid pro.
Sackhead Clint.
All good friends of ours usually show up drunk.
Also starring Sacco as the producer.
I'm a little bit drunk, I'm a little bit drunk, 'cause I'm drinking.
They are the Sackheads Radio Show. Every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Pacific on shrmedia.com.
Every Wednesday night, 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, you can catch the Southside Mutt Show with its hosts, the Jersey Boys, Jersey Joe and Crash, right here on SHR Media and High Plains Pundit Radio, where we will be digging up the dirt.
Times are dark. The people misled by corrupt politicians, lied to by establishment media, and deceived by the false messages of Islam. A nation in confusion needs a guide. It needs a man with a cane. I'm Dave Milner. Join me on Spreaker, SHR Media, High Plains Talk Radio, Live Rebooting Liberty, and YouTube for a unique brand of commentary on the unpleasant blind guide. Because truth is not always pleasant.
If you miss a show, don't worry. You can catch the replays two ways, rebootingliberty.com or the reaverofcommonsense.com. While you're there on Reaver of Common Sense, don't forget, drop in your email and keep up to date on everything going on, or click the like button on the Facebook widget. Now on to the Reaver of Common Sense.
Listening to the SHR Media Network.
This show contains language that some viewers may find offensive. Listener discretion is advised. And now on to the show. And welcome back to the Reaver of Common Sense. I am your host, Jersey Joe. And I'm trying to make sense out of the senseless. The Jersey Takeover is here. We have expanded to 2 hours every Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Remember to join the live chat. Go to shrmedia.com, join, or click on the chat room button, join the conversation. Sorry, I got my mind on something else and trying to do this at the same time. Woohoo. If you want to watch a broadcast, go to Reaver.one, click on the live stream. If you like the live stream, don't forget to hit subscribe. And if you're looking for a Reaver t-shirt, you want to show your support for the country, you want to show your Second Amendment support, go to reaver.1/shop and pick yourself up one of our Second Amendment t-shirts. A Reaver of Common Sense t-shirt, a Southside Mutt t-shirt, Hillary for Prison. Actually, we're out of those. I'm trying to get them reordered right now. Monica, Vote Monica t-shirts, because she got the job done when Hillary Clinton couldn't. And Life's a Bitch, Don't Vote for One. Which brings me to, so Hillary Clinton's in Atlantic City right now running her mouth. And she's trying to talk about Trump and failed businesses. And she's saying he's failed business, that's why he shouldn't be president, he'll fail the country. Well, I forget the exact numbers. He owns, 517 or something like that businesses. And yes, there's been a couple bankrupt, 4 bankruptcies. I could be wrong in the exact number. It's 4 or 7. But the point is, that's like a 95% success rate. And she's up there saying that because of 4 out of 500 plus businesses says he's a failure. I wish I could be half the business failure that he is. She wishes she could be half the failure in business that he is. Hi, Kel. We've missed you. I wish I could be half that failure he is. If that's what you want to call failure, a 95% success rate. And that's her big pitch down in Atlantic City right now, is that 4 companies went bankrupt out of over 500 companies. That's a very good success rate that I would love to see. And she's talking about how he intentionally ran up debt. You mean like you intentionally broke the laws? All right, let me set something up real quick. I think we're going to have a special guest here in a moment. If you can still hear me. I'm sorry, I pulled away from the mic a little bit. It's... I wish I could be that big of a failure that Trump is. Out of 500 and some businesses and only had 4 bankruptcies. And that's her big pitch after she just got away with breaking national security laws. I'm dumbfounded. And she's going to be in Atlantic City, which is failing right now. Which, I mean, the Atlantic City is just failing. Not because the businesses are not being run smart. No, it has nothing to do with that. It has to deal with the fact that they have casinos all over now. You have them in Philadelphia. You have them in New York City. You have them in Delaware. You have them all over. So why should people drive all the way to Atlantic City to gamble when they can just stay in their hometown and gamble? And it's Trump got rich off Atlantic City, and Atlantic City at one time was a booming town because of Trump. And we got a special caller. Good afternoon, Sean. How are you doing?
Good afternoon, comrade. How are you, sir?
Doing better than yesterday. Yesterday, my blood pressure was up too high.
Oh, Yeah, mine's no better.
Well, I got Fox News on right now. You got Hillary Clinton bashing Trump in Atlantic City because of 4 bankruptcies, and he's a failure at business, but he's had, 517 or 500, whatever, successful businesses and 4 failures, and it comes out to like a 95% success rate, and that's a failure?
Yeah, it's actually high. It's actually a higher success rate. I just read something on that 2 nights ago. It's like 96.7 or some ridiculously high number. Listen, as Hillary Clinton knows, because Democrats know this, oh, no, wait, they probably don't understand it because it has to do with capitalism. Not every single business is a success. It depends on a variation of things. And, it depends on when they started, the economy, what happened to the economy afterwards, whether or not the product stayed in demand, whatever that product may be. But, yeah, you know what? He lost 4. What a shame.
Well, it didn't mean he lost them. It means they went into restructure where he could have restructured the debt, paid off the debt at a different rate, and still was able to save the company.
But you know what, Joe? I'll even go as far to say is he failed. And you know what? That's still a damn good success rate.
Exactly.
I don't care who you are. If you're successful 95 or 96 or 97% of the time in what you're doing, you are far and above the norm and the average.
Yep.
And that there's no arguing that. I mean, you look at baseball; these guys are the best hitters in the league, and the best. 406 Teddy Ballgame back in the 40s. Who's done it better?
Exactly. It's
and you can say, that's apples and oranges, but no, it's a success rate.
Yeah, and I'm just laughing because if that's her whole trip right now to attack him on that, while he's slamming her about yesterday's news, I mean, that's bad for her. That's bad if that's her whole pitch.
I get kind of bad news, and this is just until I'm proven otherwise. This is the way I'm going right now. I don't know if you saw the article I wrote last night, but I think it's done because here's the problem. The Democratic drones who are going to go out and vote the same way they did for Obama the first time, it's going to be the feel-good vote. I want to be a part of it. I want to elect the first woman president. They're going to ignore, and I hope I'm wrong, and let them challenge me and prove me wrong, but they are going to ignore the fact that this was not an innocence declaration. This was a we lacked the spine to prosecute declaration. Comey laid out everything that she did that was illegal and against the law. He just chose not to prosecute.
He
There's
rewrote
a giant
the law.
difference there.
But let me jump in real quick, if you don't mind, because the one thing, and I understand where you're coming from, but, okay, my in-laws, and I've talked to you about them, and, I love them. They are die-hard liberals. They're voting Trump.
Well,
they will not
and you
back
know what?
her.
Like I said, I hope I'm wrong, but as of right now, with you see this court case going forward where you're getting delegates to unbind, and it's ironically going to be, a week and a half before the convention when the decision is made that they're going to unbind these delegates, and now he may not have the technical amount of votes to secure the nomination, and if that's the case, you're going to see a rule change, and they're going to try to put somebody else in. Cruz, Kasich, I don't know who the hell it's going to be. They may not even know who the hell it's going to be.
I don't see the RNC doing that. That's
I have
suicide.
Zero faith. I have zero faith in the GOP anymore. I have zero faith in them.
I have zero faith,
so
but that would be just career suicide. That would destroy the party because too many people would walk away.
Exactly. And somebody asked me on Facebook last night why, if it's so important, aren't people jumping on board with Trump just to beat Hillary? And I said it's ego at this point. It's absolute ego. They will cut off their nose to spite their face. The GOP's been doing this for years now. It's not getting any better. I hope I'm wrong, Joe, but I have zero confidence in this anymore.
Oh, I have zero confidence also. Just I'm seeing, and yesterday after that announcement, I saw a bunch of sorry about that, liberals that even said that changed their vote, that they're backing Trump, because they're seeing it that there's 2 different laws now for people. There's Hillary Clinton's rules, and then everybody else.
Yeah, but the drones, you got to understand, Joe, those are the people, and Like I said, I hope I'm wrong. I'll say this over and over again. But there are drones that will run right out and vote for her no matter what.
There's still...
It doesn't matter.
No, I agree. There's still a large group.
And unfortunately, I think the mindless people in this country will continue to vote mindlessly. They could care less the fact that there was no prosecution. They look at that as an innocence declaration. They're completely naive to the reality, and that's how they're going to spin it. And mainstream media is on board. I'll tell you what, Joe, I've said 4 times already. I hope I'm wrong, but I don't think I am on this. I think that she is absolutely going to win this election, and we are screwed if that's the case. I'll tell you right now, if she wins, we're done. We are done as a nation. The nation that you and I know are done.
Well, I made the comment yesterday.
Get their heads out of their asses in this country and stop worrying about finite details and stop worrying about this. Listen, you know, there's a great scene, and I've said this before, actually, at the beginning of a video game. But the whole point is two contingencies are fighting, and then the bigger evil shows up and wipes them both out because they're so focused on ripping each other apart, they weren't looking at the big picture. And I think that we're losing big picture right now in this country. And Hillary Clinton is the bigger evil. I mean, she is the evil in this country right now. And you know what? For all the Bernie supporters, and I've reached out to them yesterday on Twitter and some other things, they need to get their head out of their asses too, because their candidate's already saying that he would support her should she get the nomination. He's still throwing out that should, but we already know it's a done deal. It's a rigged system. Yeah. And they better realize what that says about their candidate. It's all about the power.
He complained about the 1% and all that, and now he's backing that same mentality. You have Elizabeth Warren complaining about all these big businesses, Wall Street, as they're backing now a candidate that's financed by Wall Street. I had said yesterday, and we went back and forth, that right now I think the United States is comatose and on life support, and if she gets elected, she's going to walk in and yank that plug out on us.
I think the plug's already out. She's walking up to them holding the pillow in her hand. She's getting ready to snuff it out the last couple breaths. She can't wait for the flat line. She's going to put it out herself. Listen, the reality is Bernie Sanders, and for all the people who think he's for the little guy, while he's staying in, and even though he shouldn't be in right now, he should have dumped a long time ago. Yeah. He's costing this country $40,000 to $50,000 a day just in Secret Service protection. And that has nothing to do with movement.
Does he have it?
Has nothing to do with... Well, yes.
He
will have it until after the convention.
Not all of them get it. Because I know...
No, he will absolutely... No, he qualifies. He's going to qualify.
Because I know Trump and
amazing...
Carson had to, beg for it.
Are you kidding me? It's Obama. Of course he gave this guy Secret Service protection. He absolutely has Secret Service protection. He has to. He's a national candidate. He's one of the last two. Usually once they get under 8 or so is when they start giving everyone protection because that's just the way it works out. And the other thing, too, that it was brought up yesterday, and I don't even remember where I heard this, I'll be completely honest, but it was a great point, is once you pass the convention, the two candidates from either side start getting top secret briefs from the CIA and other things. And if it's Hillary, you now have somebody who we know does not know how to handle top secret information or doesn't care how to handle it, is going to start receiving this information unless the Director of Intelligence and National Security turns around and says, no, she doesn't qualify. So think about that for a second.
Yep. I was going to say that. And I think that was Paul Ryan, because he was talking about how after the convention, he started getting all the updates and all the security stuff.
You're 100% right. It was Paul Ryan. I think he was on the Kelly File last night. Yep. You're 100% right. That's
where it was.
So, the problem I have, Joe, is I am 100% convinced that people in this country, and you know what? I hope I'm pissing these people off when I say this. They're too stupid to realize who they're voting for.
Yeah, I'm not going to argue.
Stupid. They're going after a woman who absolutely has no regard for them or any other rule of law. And listen, they can complain all they want about Trump being rude and some of the things he says. That's all well and good. but it hasn't been proven through a federal investigation that he's this completely corrupt individual.
Yeah. Because there's still the
he may be
investigation on the
uncouth.
Clinton Foundation into their financing. There's still that investigation going on. She still has like one or two other investigations that popped up because of all this. So she's not in the clear.
Right, and so this guy may be uncouth, and he may say some dumb things, and I agree. He says some dumb things from time to time.
I think he does it on purpose.
A lot of it, I just think he gets emotional and he speaks.
Yeah, but I think he says what's on his mind. But when he does it, he's, I think, calculated. He says something that's on the borderline that he knows the Democrats are going to jump all over and the mainstream media is going to jump all over, and they're going to give him all this free publicity.
Yeah, sometimes.
And
sometimes. I think other times he spouts off, which, listen, at least you know where this guy stands.
Yeah.
I mean, at the end of the day, I don't know how anyone can go at him and call him a liar, and then on the other hand turn around and say, oh, everything he says is outrageous. Well, if everything he's saying is outrageous, do you really think it's this well-calculated like Hillary, where everything is calculated, that's said, and is put through 45 different writers before he hits her speech? No. I mean, this is the guy you're getting one way or the other, and I would rather know ahead of time than not know. And again, just to show you how and that's what I've said time and again the last couple of weeks is the Democrats have become so in your face about their corruption, they could care less anymore because they realize that the people are just worn down. They're not responding. They're not even thinking about it. Right? Benghazi, it was a flash in the pan, right? The Benghazi report came out a week and a half ago. People aren't even talking about it anymore. The CIA, the FBI investigation yesterday, this is going to be off the radar in a week. We are just so sick and tired of politics that, I disagree.
I think, with Trump, he's going to lay on and keep up with all that.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean the media is going to play it. I mean, look at, as they were talking about the FBI and everything, everybody was on mainstream media was so happy to be covering Obama and her in North Carolina yesterday, which she got a free ride on Air Force One on.
At the call,
nobody's talking about that. Because our campaigner-in-chief could care less. I mean, this tells you how in the pocket this is. That's the ridiculous part. People are completely ignoring the fact that it was Bill on the tarmac with Loretta Lynch last week.
Yep.
Then you had her do an all of a sudden meeting with the FBI where they told her, "Hey, you're not going to be indicted," because if she was, you wouldn't have had her. Obama wouldn't have had her on the plane yesterday. They knew that ahead of time.
Oh yeah,
they were in the air when the press conference went. So, I mean, the corruption is running so deep, and people are not responding. Just to point this out, and it shows you the great scheme of things. People riot in this country when something happens in law enforcement that they don't like before the investigation is done. They go crazy. They go insane.
And they don't
right over the act of a single, usually over the act of a single individual, and 95% of the time it turns out that they were in the right. You now have a presidential candidate who is just knee-deep in all this corruption, has a history that goes for years. The FBI chose not to investigate, not to indict her, and not to let me rephrase that so it's more appropriate, not to recommend charges on their own before a DA or a federal prosecutor even got the case. They're saying, we don't suggest it. And she's turning around and she's on Air Force One. And people, where's the outrage?
I agree.
Why are people protesting at FBI offices? Why aren't people going to federal buildings and protesting? Where is the outrage? You know, everyone was so worried about Darren Wilson. Well, the evidence suggested that Darren Wilson was innocent. And he did everything that was lawful while he was in the act of. You have the Secretary of State, never mind the Russian and the uranium, never mind all this other shit. You have the former Secretary of State use multiple devices, lie to the country, process classified information. Where is the goddamn outrage in this country?
I think it's there.
And not just on social media, not on Facebook. Well, that's, you know what? I'm beyond that. Because
you won't see that because conservatives
are a telephone tough guy.
But the conservatives are more worried about their jobs, going to work, than possibly losing it. So and going in,
you know what? Maybe Maybe we need to start stealing the pages of Alinsky away from the liberals and start using it to our advantage.
Now, there's a lot of people saying that now.
Why is every federal building not have 1,000 people in front of it?
I think it's about time that we start doing the same thing they do.
Where people,
I agree.
Our heads are just up our asses in this country. I'm completely deflated. I have lost faith all the way around in this nation, and until somebody proves me wrong, I'm going to keep losing faith. We've become a nation of sheep. We will sit behind a computer and throw out all these things in the world, but we're the organizers. Where's the GOP organizing?
Yeah, I agree.
Why aren't they organizing riots? Not riots, but you know what I mean, protests, not riots. I don't condone riots. The exact opposite, because we're better than that. We're supposed to be.
Yeah, but you got a lot of people, well, I say a lot of people, but I'm seeing it on the social media where they're calling for it, saying we need to take those pages, we need to start fighting fire with fire, and doing this, start showing up at Hillary Clinton's rallies and start making such a ruckus that we shut down her rallies like they do with Trump. Start going and making a racket like they do over every little, like you said, every little thing. Start making the same ruckus and give them a taste of their own medicine. It may be time for that. We may be past, and I'm not advocating violence here, but it may be past the point of peaceful resolution. And it scares me to say that.
No, I don't think we're past that point. But the problem is I think on the right we're just so beaten down after years and years and years that everybody knows as soon as they grab a sign and go stand in front of a federal building at a Hillary Clinton or a Bernie Sanders or whatever, right? The media is just going to eviscerate them as being these white hate-mongering, blah, blah, just
tea
every
party.
single tea bagger. You just throw out the name and it's going to be there, right? Look at what happened to the Tea Party when they would have positive
Falsely
peaceful
accused.
protests, right?
They were falsely
got
accused.
Annihilated by mainstream media. They were putting these people's pictures all over the world and calling them all these horrific things.
Well, actually, I want to make one point because I'm running out of time. There's a site, and I got it locked somewhere. It is they point out people that are racist on social media. It's like Racism Exposed or something like that. But what I find funny, this guy's plastering all these people about their comments to expose them, but yet he gave an interview and refused to give his own name. He wanted to stay anonymous. He doesn't want people to know who he is, and he's running that site exposing everybody for their wickedness, but yet he sits in anonymity. God, I hate that word.
Yep.
See, I think we're there where this country's on a tipping point, and I still have a little faith. I don't think we're going to have Hillary. Maybe that's just I'm looking into the goodness of people when I shouldn't be. But
Well, hope. The problem is we're past the point with hope being a battle strategy, Joe.
Oh, I know that. I'm hoping in the good in the people. You know what I mean? And that's what I'm counting on. Because I've seen a lot of people yesterday say after that they weren't exactly behind Trump, but this has now pushed them to be behind Trump. I was seeing liberals that say the same thing. This just showed that the Clintons are above the law and they don't want her in office. And like I said, my in-laws are diehard liberals, but they said that they can't. They're voting Trump. They cannot support Hillary. That she's too corrupt.
Well, I'll make one last challenge to your listeners, and I'm going to do it tonight on Sackheads as well. Organize a protest. A peaceful protest, signs, but bring awareness.
Yeah.
Go to your local federal building. Go to your local FBI office and protest the fact that they did not do their job in this. Don't be violent. Don't be stupid. Don't be the left.
Yeah.
Because at that point, you're the same beast that you're trying to stop. But start being heard and start being active. We are no longer in a point where we can allow ourselves to be passive and the nice GOP that we've been for years.
Yeah, we got to rattle some cages.
It is time for us to be more vocal. It's time for us to come out in numbers. It's time for people to realize that we're not going to allow a corrupt government to keep running our lives and ruining our lives. And more importantly, don't be selfish. It's not our lives anymore. It's our children's lives and their children. It's the state of our union that we need to fix. And people need to become aware of that and start kicking ass. Proverbial ass.
Yeah.
Again, do not be violent and stupid.
Yeah, we're not advocating violence. We don't need. Well, the Sackhead Sean and Jersey Joe told me to come kick ass here. No,
not at all.
We're saying
what I want you to do is go out and get a sign, make the media show up somewhere, show this country how pissed off we are. The fact that the quote-unquote top federal law enforcement agency in the land can't bring charges against somebody who has completely disregarded the rule of law.
Yep. And I hate to cut you off, but we're actually going over time, and I don't want to cut too much into other people's...
I'll talk to everyone tonight on Sackheads, 8 p.m. Pacific, 11 on the East, shrmedia.com.
All right, thanks for calling in, Sean. And, tonight is Sackhead Show. Or, excuse me, you have the Sackhead Show at 11 o'clock Eastern Time. What is it, 8 o'clock Pacific Time. And then at 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, you have the Southside Mutt Show with Jersey Boys, Jersey Joe, and Crash. And, we'll talk to you tonight. Have a good day. You've been listening to the Reaver of Common Sense with its host, Jersey Joe. You can tune in every day, Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on hppundit.com and shrmedia.com.